In last class, I have discussed about the how to calculate the pile load capacity by using pile load test. So, now in that class I have discussed the total load carrying capacity of the pile, how we will calculate the total allowable load carrying capacity of the pile by using pile load test. Now, if we want to know the contribution from the tip resistance and the friction part separately, then you have to go for the cyclic pile load test. Now, in this section I will discuss about the cyclic pile load test and how to determine the frictional resistance of the pile and the tip resistance of the pile based on this cyclic pile load test. Now, this section will give the vertical cyclic pile load test. Now, here this is carried out to separate the pile load into the skin friction and point bearing on single pile of uniform diameter. Now, suppose if we do the load test, this if I draw the graph. So, for the static load we will get, say, these are the different load Q 1, this is Q 2 and say this is Q 3. So, these are the increment, different increment Q 1, Q 2, Q 3, and there because we are applying the load in 20% of increment. So, there this is the load corresponding settlement that we will measure. Similarly, this is the load and corresponding settlement that we will measure. So, this is the value and this is the load and corresponding settlement, this will measure. So, this is our, if I join this point, so this will give us the static pile load test and there. So, this will give us this is the load and this is the settlement. So, this settlement, this will give us the static load pile load test curve. Now, similarly, here once we get this type of graph, so and then the others Q 4 and Q 3 Q 5, then we will get complete the graph. And then if we want to determine the allowable load carrying capacity of the pile, then we have to apply those conditions. Suppose one is a 2/3 of the load by which the settlement attains a value of 12 millimeter. Suppose this is 12 millimeter, then we will calculate, suppose this is the load of 12 millimeter, then we will calculate the Q value corresponding 12 millimeter and then we will take the 2/3 of that load. Similarly, we will go for the second condition, then we will go for 50% of pile diameter, then you will get one settlement corresponding load 10% of the pile diameter for the uniform loaded pile, and then you will go for that Q and take the 50% of that. Similarly, you have to consider all the conditions and the minimum of that Q will consider, that is the allowable load carrying capacity of the pile. But there we cannot know what is the contribution from the skin friction and what is the contribution from the tip resistance. We are getting on the total load carrying capacity or allowable load carrying capacity of the pile. Now, here by the cyclic test we will calculate, we will know what would be the contribution from the frictional resistance and what is the contribution from the tip resistance. Now, in the case of cyclic load, what I will do, so this is the previous graph for the static pile load test and this is for the vertical cyclic pile load test. Now, this test is limited only to the initial test, not in the routine test. Now, here the graph that we will get, suppose this is the Q or the load on pile, pile top, that is in ton, and this is the settlement in millimeter. So, this is the first increment, say q. So, we will apply the loading up to q, then we apply the unloading. So, this is the q, and here we will get 2 settlement. The next one we will start the q 2, and here we apply the loading curve, and then this is the unloading part. This is corresponding to q 2. Similarly, for the q 3, we will go for the q 3, and then we apply the loading and the unloading, and then we will go on for the q 4 and so on. So, now here if I go for the every step, though here we will get the, this is our total settlement or S T 1. This is the total settlement for the first loading increment. So, there is a 2 parts. One part is, you can see, so this portion is the permanent settlement, and this is the recovery part. So, that means this portion is the elastic settlement and this portion is the plastic settlement. So, there is a permanent set of the craft, then it is not, when we unload this portion, this in the last point is not the first point of the or the starting point. There is a permanent set. So, that set is the plastic settlement S P 1, and the recovery portion is elastic settlement S E 1. Similarly, for the second set also, this there is a 2 part, one is the total. So, from this is the total, and then this is the plastic settlement, and this is the elastic settlement. So, now every increment of loading will get one plastic settlement, one elastic settlement, that is for every increment. Now, if I write that settlement or the total settlement, if S is the total settlement, so that S total settlement is the summation of elastic settlement plus summation of plastic settlement. So, S is the elastic settlement, where S E is the elastic settlement, and S P is the plastic settlement. Similarly, the total Q that we are getting, that is the combination of friction resistance and the tip resistance, and we can write. So, that elastic settlement and the combination of the summation of elastic settlement and the plastic settlement is the total settlement. Total load is the summation of friction resistance plus the tip resistance. In other hand, we can write the total settlement is the summation of del L plus S B. So, now where del L is equal to compression of pile material. Pile or pile material, and S B is compression of soil at the base. So, that this is also S B has 2 component, elastic part and plastic part. So, this is the elastic part and the plastic part. So, we can say this is the S is the total settlement, that is the elastic settlement, total elastic settlement and total plastic settlement. And here S, that will get the compression of the pile material, because that plus the compression of the soil at the base. So, at the base soil also, so that means the total settlement, it is due to the summation of the soil settlement at the base. So, base soil that will settle. So, because of that we will get the settlement of the pile, and the pile material that may also compress. So, that is the summation of the compression of the pile material and the compression of the base soil. Similarly, at the base soil also there is two types of settlements, one is elastic settlement, another is the plastic settlement. So, and in the pile material also we can consider two types of settlement, one is the plastic settlement and the elastic settlement. So, the total elastic settlement is the summation of elastic settlement of the pile material and the elastic settlement of the base soil, and total plastic settlement is the plastic settlement of the pile material and plus the plastic settlement of the base soil. Now, here if I further write this expression in different form, then we will get that again we can write this S P dash is the plastic compression of the soil at the base, elastic compression of the soil at base, and S P dash is the elastic compression of the this is the plastic compression of the soil at the base. So, finally, we can write the total settlement is del L plus S E dash plus S P dash, and again we have written that S is total elastic settlement plus total plastic settlement. So, if I compare these two expressions, so S E plus S P, that will be del L plus S E dash plus S P dash. So, we can write that S E dash elastic settlement at the base is S P minus S P dash plus S E minus del L. Now, this S P and S E that we can determine from the figure or the pile load test, that load versus settlement figure, and this this del L we can calculate by this expression, that Q minus Q F by 2 into L divided by A E, where Q is equal to total load on the pile, Q F is the frictional resistance, frictional load or resistance, is the length of the pile, A is the average cross section area, of the pile, E is the modulus of elasticity of the pile material. Of the pile material. So, this is the modulus of elasticity of the pile material. Now, if we consider that the plastic settlement of the pile material is negligible, because the plastic settlement, total plastic settlement, we are taking the summation of plastic settlement of the pile material and plastic settlement of the base soil. So, here we assume the plastic settlement of the pile material is negligible. So, we are taking the all the settlement of the pile material is elastic, because the pile material is very steep compared to the soil. So, the plastic settlement of the pile material is negligible. So, total plastic settlement will be plastic settlement of the base soil, because plastic settlement of pile material is neglected as neglected. In that case, SP will be SP dash. So, from this expression, so if I write this is expression 1. So, from equation 1 we can write, or equation this is 1, we can write that AC bar is AC minus del L. So, this is the expression or the final expression. So, here del L we will calculate by this expression, and AC we have to determine from the pile load versus settlement graph, and then we will calculate the AC bar. Now, the next step, how to determine the QF and QP. The next step, determination of QF and QP. QF is the friction resistance and QP is the base resistance. So, here first what we will do, we will draw a graph. So, this is load on pile top. And this side, this is the elastic compression of soil or subgrade. So, this is the elastic base soil. So, you can write this is SE bar. So, this side is AC bar and this side is load on the pile. So, first step we assume that del L is 0. So, what we will get from this load versus settlement curve or the first curve. So, that I have drawn this this for the pile. So, from this first curve we will get what is the SE for a particular load intensity. So, for a particular load intensity, what is SE? Now, if we consider that because our expression is AC bar equal to SE minus del L. So, that is the expression, and for the first step, for step 1, assume del L is equal to 0. So, this AC for any load increment we will get from the previous curve or load versus settlement curve, and then you will get the AC. So, in that case AC, that is SE bar is equal to AC for the first step. This is for the first step only. So, what we will do now, we will draw this graph corresponding to different loading points. So, we will draw this graph. So, this is say curve 1. This is for the first step where we assume that del L is equal to 0. Now, the next step that what we will do, that we will draw one line which is parallel to the straight portion. Now, this is the straight portion of the graph. So, here we will get one nonlinear portion, then this is a straight portion of the graph, and we draw one parallel line which is passing through this origin and parallel to the straight portion of this curve 1. So, which is passing through the origin, and this graph is parallel to the straight line portion of curve 1. So, this is parallel to straight part of curve 1. Now, from this graph we will determine what would be the value of here from this graph. So, this part will give you the point resistance of any loading increment for this loading increment say. So, this will give the point resistance, and this part will give the friction resistance. This is the skin friction, or QF, and this is the QB part, QB or P part. So, or any loading position say from this portion here, this portion is QP, and for this is the friction resistance part. So, here that will determine. So, once we get this any loading condition, we will get the QP and QF. In the second step, once we know the QF value, because that expression of del L we are giving, that is the Q minus QF divided by 2 into L divided by AE. So, A is the material property, L is the length of the pile, and Q is the total load or the load increment at any point. And once we get the QF from this part, because this straight portion left hand side will give you the QP, and this right hand side will give us the QF. So, once we get the QF at any loading increment from this graph, we will get the del L. So, for the any loading increment, we will calculate the del L, and that del L will put here, and AC is previously we can calculate from the load displacement curve, and that is the same as the step 1. So, now we will get a new AC bar. So, once we get a new AC bar, then we will draw another curve by using the new AC bar. So, suppose that is this curve is the new AC bar or the step 2. So, this is our step 2 where we calculate new AC with new AC bar. So, this is say curve 2. Similarly, this curve also will get one straight portion. We extend this straight portion of the curve, and again we will draw the parallel line of this straight portion. So, this is the parallel line for curve 2, and similarly we will repeat the same thing. Here also we will get the QP and QF separately from the left hand side of this part. So, this portion is basically this portion is Q p and this portion is Q f. So, this here also this is Q p, the Q f, the Q p and Q f for the first part, and this portion is Q f, and this portion, that means the right hand side of this straight line which is passing through the origin straight parallel to the straight portion of the curve, right side of this curve is Q f and left hand side of this curve is Q p. So, once we get this value, then we will calculate the nu del L, and then we will get the nu again in the step 3, we will get another AC bar or the new AC bar. Then we will get another, we will calculate another curve. So, this is our curve 3, and again we will extend this the state portion, and then we will again draw this parallel line for the state portion of this third curve, and again we calculate the Q p and Q f, and again we repeat the same thing. You calculate nu del L, you will calculate the new AC bar, and you repeat the thing unless the two curves, Hamiltonian curves, are matching each other. And generally it is observed that after the 3 trials, these curves are matching each other. So, when these curves are matching, say suppose curve 3 and curve 4 are matching each other, then we will stop there, and then from that curve itself, similarly from this straight portion right left hand side will give us the contribution from the Q p, that means this left hand side, and the right hand side of this straight portion which is passing of the line which is passing from this origin, right hand side of this curve up to the original curve, that will give us the friction resistance. So, for this method we can determine what is the contribution from the tip resistance and friction resistance separately. Now, this will give us the ultimate load carrying capacity of the friction contribution from the friction and the tip separately. Now, if we want to find the safe pile capacity, then you have to divide these things by factor of safety. Now, for the skin friction resistance, so that if we divide this part by factor of safety, we will get the safe friction resistance and safety bearing resistance that we are getting from this pile, or by that we can determine from the pile load test. So, by this method, the cyclic pile load test, we can separately determine the contribution from the friction part or friction resistance and from the tip resistance of the pile by this pile load test. Now, the next section, that on the next section we will discuss about the pile load test for the different dynamic pile formula, because this is the third method, because the first method was static expression. Now, this second one that I have discussed from the pile load test. Now, next one that we will discuss, that I will discuss, that is dynamic pile formula. So, this is the over that one formula that will given. So, first one will giving the engineering news record or ENR formula. So, these are the based on the pile driven energy or the weight that we are using, based on that we are calculating this allowable load carrying capacity of the pile. So, Q allowable or the allowable pile load that we can calculate by W into H into sigma H into S plus C, where W is weight of the hammer and h is the height of fall. Of falling, S is the real set per blow, C is the empirical factor, F is factor of safety, usually taken as 6, and this is the efficiency. Now, for the drop hammer, this value is 0.7 to 0.9. For steam hammer, this value is 0.75 to 0.85. So, now this equation or this expression is based on the energy that we are applying to or to drive a pile into the soil. So, this is the weight of the hammer, this is the free fall height, this efficiency, and this factor of safety, which is generally taken as 6. S is the set, real set per blow. If we apply the load, what is the amount of the real set per blow, that is S, and C is the empirical factor. Now, this expression we can use for different hammer. So, now for the drop hammer, this Q A is W into H, and this is the efficiency into 6 factor of safety, and S plus 2.5. This is for the drop hammer, where Q, A and W, this is in kg, H in centimeter, S is equal to centimeter per blow, that is the final set or the real set or the final set. So, this final set S, we can take that S value, that the average penetration for the last 5 blows of a drop hammer or 20 blows of a steam hammer. So, that means this S centimeter per blow, here the final set, the last 5 blows average, that we will consider as the S in case of drop hammer, and for last 20 blows of in case of steam hammer, the average of last 20 blows penetration, that we will consider as the S value in case of steam hammer. So, similarly, for the steam hammer or single acting steam hammer, this Q A is equal to W into H into efficiency by 6 plus S into 0.25. So, here for the drop hammer, C value is 2.5, for the steam hammer, this is 0.25. So, this again this W and Q A is in kg, H is in centimeter, S in centimeter per blow, and this is 0.25. So, by using this expression also we can determine the pile load carrying capacity of the pile. So, now there are others this type of expression are also available, but here I am just giving one expression which is very popular, that is a ENR formula, and by which we can also determine the pile load carrying capacity. The next one, the fourth method, that we can determine the pile load test by using the correlation with the penetration test data, by using with penetration test value. That means, by SPT or CPT value we can determine the pile load carrying capacity of the pile. Now, first we will give in the for the driven pile in sand. So, driven pile in sand. So, here Q P U, that means this is the tip resistance, ultimate tip resistance, that is 40 N into L by D, which is in kilonewton per meter square, but that should be less than equal to 400 N kilonewton per meter square. That means, this if we use this expression, now that Q U P cannot be greater than 400 N kilonewton per meter square. So, that means, if it is coming more than 400 kilonewton per meter square in kilonewton per meter square, then you have to consider the 400 N kilonewton per meter square. So, that means, so this will limit it to this value, that means, this is the ultimate tip resistance. Similarly, for the driven pile we can find the Q P U, that is Q C. This is based on the SPT value, this is the SPT value. So, this is SPT value is observed value without any correction. So, this N is observed value without any overburden correction. Now, again by the QC, that means the cone resistance, this is the cone resistance, can determine the tip ultimate tip resistance of the pile. Now, QC is taken as the average value of QC over a distance 3D above and 1D below the level of the pile tip. That means, this QC value, suppose this is the pile tip portion and this diameter is say D. So, that we can take the average value of this is 3D and 1D. Then this is the tip. So, the average value of this 4D portion, the 3D above the tip and 1D below the tip, that average value of QC, that we have to consider as this QC. So, that means for the pile to attain its full bearing resistance, it should be driven at least 5d inside the bearing stratum. For the pile attain its full bearing resistance, that means for the pile attains the full bearing resistance, it should be driven at least 5d inside the bearing strata. Suppose if there is a bearing strata is there. So, this is suppose the bearing strata, inside this one is the bearing strata, bearing layer, then the pile this has to be penetrated inside the strata at least for the 5d part, then you will get the full resistance. This is the at least. So, if one pile is penetrated this bearing layer or the bearing strata at least for the 5d length, then we will get the full resistance from this strata. Now, that means here this QC value will take the average of this 3d above the tip and 1d below the tip. This average of this 4d zone will get the QC, average QC will give the QC. And if we get the full resistance of this any bearing strata, then this bearing strata, this pile has to be penetrated at least 5d below this within this bearing strata. Now, the friction resistance, this is the we are talking about the ultimate tip resistance, then how to get the friction resistance. The friction resistance of the pile so, for the driven pile here the same thing for the driven pile in sand. So, we are talking about this pile in sand, the friction resistance F is, we can take the QC average by 2, that is in kilonewton per meter square, and this is for the displacement pile. Or this is for the displacement pile, and F s is equal to QC average by 4, this is kilonewton per meter square, this is for the H pile. These expressions are given by the both the expressions given by the Meyerhof in 1956. Now, QC average is the average cone resistance along the length of the pile. This is the average cone resistance along the length of the pile. Similarly, this is in terms of cone resistance. Similarly, for the in terms of N value, this Q s is equal to 2 N average. This is also kilonewton in meter square. This is for the displacement pile. Or Q s equal to N average, that is in kilonewton per meter square. This is for the H pile, where N average, this is the SPT value, this is the average field value of N, this is the SPT along the length of the pile. Now, another condition that here for the QP, that means the tip resistance also that cannot be greater than 400 N value. Similarly, for the displaced QFS, that is less than equal to 100 kilonewton per meter square. This is for the displacement pile. and that is less than equal to 50 kilonewton per meter square, that is for the H pile. So, this is the another two condition. So, these are the expression for the driven pile in the sand. Next one we will give the expression for the bored and cast in situ pile in the sand. This is the bored Now, again we will get the Q P u, that is equal to 1/3 of Q P u that we will get of driven pile, and F s that is equal to half of the F s of driven pile. So, first we will calculate the Q P u and F s for the driven pile, and then we take the 1/3 for the bored and cast in situ piles in sand, and F s is half of the F s of the driven pile. Next one is the driven and cast in situ pile. Now, here for the case pile it is same as driven pile. And for the uncased pile, the F s as driven pile, the case F s is same as driven pile. Now, if proper compaction is done, or either we can take F s as bored cast in situ pile if proper compaction is not done. So, these are the condition, or these are the condition by which you can determine the pile load carrying capacity of the pile, or the tip resistance of the pile, or the friction resistance of the pile based on the penetration test data, that means the cone resistance or the N value or the SPT N value. We can determine this for the driven pile, we can determine bored cast in situ pile, we can determine this for the driven cast in situ piles also, and then in the different pile condition, in the cased pile, uncased pile, on all these cases we can determine the pile load capacity of the pile by using this penetration value. So, there is 4 different methods by which we can determine the ultimate load carrying capacity of the pile or allowable load carrying capacity of the pile. First one is the static method or static equation or the formulae. Next one, second one is by the pile load test. So, for the static or the cyclic, if I go for the cyclic pile load test, then we can determine separately the friction resistance and the tip resistance. And third one, by using the dynamic equations or the formulas and the next one in the third expression is by using the penetration test data. So, these are the all different methods by which we can determine the pile load, ultimately pile load capacity of the pile, different piles. And then in this section I have also discussed that when you go for the group analysis or group calculation, then how we will calculate this group efficiency of the pile and group ultimate load carrying capacity of the piles. Now, this in the next section I will discuss about the settlement of the pile, then the how to calculate the load bearing capacity of the under rim pile. In those things I will discuss in the next section. Thank you.